Ferrari's team boss Fred Vasseur is not the type to throw words around for no reason. So when Vasseur called the Miami upgrade a package and a half, that was not hype, that was straight technical truth. What they first planned for Bahrain was already a strong upgrade, but now it's been stacked with extra parts that were never supposed to show up this early in the season. When the Bahrain and Saudi Arabian races got cancelled, Ferrari suddenly had something rare in Formula One: time. No race weekends, no distractions, just pure focus in the factory. Engineers went full grind mode before development was even finished, and Ferrari took full advantage of that window. The Monza filming day on April 22nd is where everything finally hits the track for a real test under pressure. Hamilton and Leclerc are not just doing routine laps either, they're running parts that have been worked on non-stop during that 5-week gap. But here's the part nobody's talking about. What Ferrari is bringing to Miami on May 1st is not a small tweak, it's their biggest single-race upgrade since the 2026 rules came in. And let's be clear, the gap to Mercedes is not some rumor. It's real, and it's hanging over them. The pressure is intense, no hiding from that. And everything Ferrari has been building since Suzuka shows they know exactly what's at stake. The new floor might not look exciting at first glance, but it's the key piece of the whole setup. The SF26 already leads the grid in raw downforce, and this upgrade is all about pushing that edge even further. That detail actually makes the floor upgrade way more interesting, not less. Because the real question is not if the SF26 can create grip. It clearly can. The real issue is whether it can hold that grip without dragging itself down the straights, something that has been hitting both Hamilton and Leclerc all season long. Ferrari is one of the few teams still running a double-blade floor section, and that is not just a random choice. It directly controls how much downforce the car makes and how the air flows cleanly toward the rear. Now for Miami, Ferrari is going all in on that rear floor area, building on several versions they have already tested during the first 3 race weekends. And it does not stop there. The bargeboard section is also getting serious attention, and that area is crucial because it manages the messy airflow between the floor, side pods, and rear diffuser. Other teams have already started shifting toward the McLaren and Aston Martin style in this zone, but Ferrari is stepping in with its own bold solution. Here is where it gets serious. The key number is not just how much downforce this new floor adds, it is how much drag it cuts while still keeping that strong cornering speed. That balance is already the SF26's biggest weapon, and if Ferrari nails this, the Miami upgrade will not just shave lap time, it could completely change how the car performs across every track coming up. And while everyone keeps talking about the rear wing seen across the grid, heavily hyped, constantly photographed, but barely raced, Ferrari might be making their biggest gains in a place most people are not even watching. It only showed up for one practice session in Shanghai, and it went wrong fast. Hamilton spun at turn 6 when the front wing closed quicker than the rear, throwing the whole car into a nasty aerodynamic imbalance at the worst possible moment. Right after that, the wing was pulled off both cars before sprint qualifying and completely disappeared from racing action. And if you're finding this useful, drop a like and subscribe. It genuinely helps get this content to more F1 fans. But what Ferrari is bringing to Miami is not that same risky version. This is the one they always planned to race, now rebuilt to fix that exact issue. The big problem was the timing mismatch between the front and rear wing closing under braking, and Ferrari has been locked in on solving that ever since Suzuka. That is where the Monza filming day on April 22nd becomes a big deal. Those heavy braking zones, especially into the first chicane, recreate the same kind of pressure that exposed the failure in Shanghai. From high speed down into tight corners, it pushes the system to its limits and shows if the timing finally lines up the way it should. If the system holds steady at Monza, then it is game on for Miami. And the upside is serious. Early data showed gains of around 5 to 10 kilometers per hour in straight-line speed when the system is active. At a track with long straights like Miami, that is not small, that is a direct hit on Ferrari's biggest weakness this season. There is another factor too: weight. The Shanghai version was heavier than the normal rear wing, which quietly hurt lap time in other parts of the track. The Miami spec is built lighter, cutting that extra mass while still keeping the drag reduction effect strong. If Ferrari gets this right, they are not just fixing a problem. They are unlocking a whole new level of performance. Whether this setup can actually survive a full race distance is something only Miami will reveal. Because if that rear wing fails mid-race, it is game over, no debate. That risk is still there, no matter how much Ferrari has worked on it, but inside the team, they believe the updated version is finally strong enough to race under real pressure. Beyond the headline upgrades, Ferrari's Miami package is packed with smaller tweaks that might not grab attention on their own, but together they shift the entire behavior of the car. One of the most talked about pieces is the halo winglet, a tiny aero part sitting right on the central pillar of the halo. It first appeared in Shanghai and instantly caused drama, with rival teams getting close to filing an official protest over whether it was even legal. Ferrari pulled it off after the sprint, but then the FIA stepped in and confirmed it actually fits within the rules. Now it is back for Miami, but not the same version. The original used a transparent material, while this new one switches to metal, and that changes everything from how it holds up structurally to how it interacts with airflow. Its job is to smooth out the messy air coming off the halo, reduce turbulence around the driver's helmet, and send cleaner air toward the rear wing for better performance. There is still a question hanging over it though. Could it affect driver visibility at certain angles? That is something Ferrari will be watching closely. Then there is the cooling system, which might sound less exciting, but it is critical. Miami brings much higher temperatures than anything Ferrari has faced so far in 2026, and that means more stress on both the power unit and hybrid systems. Managing that heat properly could be the difference between pushing hard or being forced to hold back. This season, Ferrari has been quietly adjusting everything when it comes to cooling, from gills to brake ducts to tweaks on the engine cover, all building toward Miami. So far, reliability has been solid through the first 3 races, but Florida heat is a completely different challenge. This is where that reliability finally gets pushed to the limit in real hot conditions. Weight loss is also a huge part of this whole package, and it runs through almost every upgrade Ferrari is bringing. When the SF26 launched back in January, it was just 2 kilograms over the minimum weight limit, which is seriously tight. But after 3 race weekends and constant upgrades, that advantage started slipping away. Now Miami is where Ferrari tries to claw some of that weight back. The new aero parts are not just about performance, they are also built to be lighter, cutting down mass wherever possible without sacrificing speed or stability. But here is the real talk. Does this Miami package completely close the gap to Mercedes? No, it does not, and Ferrari knows it. That 25 horsepower deficit to the Mercedes engine is still there, and no amount of aero magic can fully erase that kind of difference. There is also the issue of the ADUO window, the rule that allows engine upgrades if performance drops too far behind, and right now, that door is still closed. So no new power unit is coming for Miami, not yet. The latest word points to Austria in June as the earliest chance Ferrari could bring a revised engine. Until then, the SF26 will keep losing time on the straights, and that is something no floor tweak or Macarena wing can fully fix. What Miami can do, though, is tighten things up where Ferrari still has control. By reducing drag and sharpening the aero efficiency, they can shrink the gap instead of letting it grow. It is not a full solution, but it might be just enough to keep them in the fight. If the Macarena system finally works the way it should, and the floor upgrade hits its targets, Ferrari's straight-line deficit to Mercedes starts to shrink. Not completely gone, but reduced enough to actually change what they can fight for on race day. And the timing could not be more intense. Ferrari is not the only team bringing upgrades to Miami. Mercedes has its own package ready, and McLaren is also expected to roll out something big. So the entire grid could shift after this race, and not necessarily in Ferrari's favor if the others execute better. There is also a bit of history here that cannot be ignored. Back in 2024, Ferrari brought a major upgrade before their home race in Italy, and it did not flip the order overnight. The performance gains came slowly, building race after race instead of delivering one instant breakthrough. That same pattern could easily play out again in 2026. Miami might not suddenly turn Ferrari into race winners, but it could mark the moment where things start moving in the right direction. Everything is ready on Ferrari's side, the parts are built, the plan is locked in, but none of it means anything until the car hits the track under real conditions. And that moment comes at Monza on April 22nd, 200 kilometers, 2 drivers, 1 circuit picked for a reason. Monza is brutal on weaknesses, with high-speed runs and heavy braking zones that expose every flaw this package is supposed to fix. If the Macarena timing finally lines up, if the floor delivers that balance of downforce and low drag, and if the weight targets are met, then Ferrari heads to Miami with something they have been missing since Melbourne: real confidence. And in Formula One, that confidence is not just a feeling, it can change everything. Like and subscribe if you want the full Miami race breakdown the moment the checkered flag drops.